going to work.
Why don't we move on to biggest dumpster fire of 2019? This is a fun one. I just like the fact that we have a biggest dumpster fire. There was a lot of them this year, I feel like more than normal. Dan, do you want to start off this one?
Yeah. Ghost Recon Breakpoint. You suck.
Okay.
Take off the offline,
All right.
make it offline mode.
Hang on. Do you want to switch that to just that whole Ubisoft debacle that started with that game? Because I think that's bigger than just that game. That game set off like a chain reaction.
Well, yeah. So, but that one in general, because it sucks so much, everything
Which you
got
love.
it pushed back so many games
And got like some things
and I am-
canceled maybe.
Again, so I am so happy that you fucked up. And well, not only they fucked up so bad that they had to do a survey, and we already talked about this,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Preach it.
They
Preach it.
screwed it up, and everything else. Now, Watch Dogs got pushed back because of you.
that's a bummer.
So yeah, because I was very excited for like Team Grandma, like with friggin' Watchdog Legion or whatever. So yeah, so screw you guys.
I wonder how much of that was like that was also like the Final Fantasy VII remake week. Like that's such a bad week for a big game to come out. I feel like that's just kind of like let's just use this.
Oh, was
excuse
Watch
to get out.
Dogs 2 slated for that week?
Yeah,
that is a
it was
horrible
like,
week.
It was like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, but
that's
before,
like
but-
releasing a movie alongside Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, but I do feel like Final Fantasy will reach past the just RPG and like regular gamer fans.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna grasp like what Grand Theft Auto type of does.
That's true. That
So-
is two different kinds of games.
But I mean, it doesn't help. Like you get two people that like a gamer, like obviously they're gonna go with Final Fantasy VII remake.
Like it's not nearly as bad as Titanfall 2 being released on Battlefield.
No,
8
that just
by
can't-
the same company.
That just cannibalized their own friggin' thing. Friggin' idiots. Anyway, the other one would be Bethesda and their wonderful Fallout 76 private server prices and issue. Where they decided,
yeah.
hey, we'll allow you to play by yourself, but guess what? You're gonna have to pay us $100 for the year because we suck.
also like the bag and
Just well,
canvas
Yeah, they
bag.
really like leaned into it. I feel like they kept falling into these errors, and then
yeah, they
they're
were
like,
like, what's the worst thing we can do?
Let's
All
just
right,
make it worse.
Hold my beer. I'm gonna go one step further.
needless to say, there was a lot of fallout from their controversies. But
So yeah, I think Bethesda and Fallout 76, that game is just continues to take a plunge. So two games I'm happy that failed miserably because of their stupid design and online
is the third
choice.
Is your next choice also going to be an online only game?
I
feel a theme
Sort
here.
of, but
Is
I
it
mean,
Anthem?
no,
Oh.
it's Blizzard and the
The
China
BlizzCon.
fiasco.
Oh yeah.
Where if they just kept their mouth shut and didn't cause a problem, they probably wouldn't have had a big issue. Instead, they had to go and take away that guy's money because he made an honest
ban him for a
comment,
year.
and he obviously doesn't speak for Blizzard. So what does it matter? So that was just them being like, oh my god, we got to be politically correct, like over the top, like we got to take this away, we got to take his money away.
Yeah.
So just an absolute unnecessary step that they took that totally bit them in the ass. So but out of all of them, I would say Ghost Recon because it had the biggest impact, because it impacted not only that game, which I have seen at $18.99 on sale already.
Yeah.
But it
When did that
pushed
come out?
back.
October? September?
I think
end of October, I believe.
End of
End of
October,
October.
yeah. And it was already down to
Oh, sorry,
$19.99.
beginning of October it was.
Yeah, so already down to $20.
That's unfortunate.
So because of that, like I said, it hurt so many games. It's hurt, like I said, Watch Dogs Legion. It's hurt
Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, Gods and Monsters, and
That
pushed
that new
everything
was
back.
Was it a new Rainbow Six game, or is this there was some
Probably
sort of
a DLC, I
there was
think,
some
for
like
it.
team based shooter that they pushed back as
Yeah,
well.
so many games got affected just because of their big giant screw up with this one. So my pick for this one is going to be Ghost Recon and Ubisoft's big screw up.
Cool
Matt?
wins. Yeah, so the two I had was the Blizzard Hong Kong.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Just the fact that actually kind of went beyond the video gaming world to where you were seeing it on just kind of like regular, whenever a story gets beyond the video game world, where you're seeing it on just kind of regular news outlets, that stuff has really hit the fan at that point. And just the fact that they never really course corrected. They made that kind of half-hearted apology on like, what was it, like Friday night, like to kind of get it out of the news cycle, and they were like, oh, we'll give him his money back and we'll reduce it to 6 months, which is still like way too long of a an action. What I feel like they should have done has been like, all right, we're gonna, fully, we apologize, we did this wrong. We should have, take it away completely, but then make the rules more clear. Like just going forward, you can't mention, whatever they want to say. Like you can't mention any sort of political or even. It's kind of weird because this one goes into the realm of human rights, so it's kind of different. But I feel like the rules about what you can say never felt like they were super clear.
Yeah, and he's not an employee. That's the other thing. He doesn't speak on behalf of Blizzard, so I thought that was the stupidest thing. If it was someone said on behalf of Blizzard, we do this, yeah, I can understand that he'd get in trouble, but he was speaking on behalf of himself. He was just happened to play on their platform.
Yeah.
So I thought that was just the stupidest thing. And then,
You can go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, so they did that half-hearted apology, and then at BlizzCon, like right when BlizzCon started, the president came up and did his like zero apology that was just kind of really super lame. But it seems like it just kind of all went away because everyone was so hyped about Diablo 4 and Overwatch and all that other fun stuff that they announced. So that's just like, it seems like after BlizzCon, it just kind of the story died down completely after another week or so, which is kind of a shame. I'm not really sure what else you can really do about it. But yeah, that was a huge deal. Did you want to mention something else about that specifically?
No, I can wait until you're
Okay.
done with yours.
The other thing I was going to mention was just like the whole game and fiasco of Anthem. Just kind of this build up over the last few years of this, like, okay, they're going in this whole different direction into a multiplayer, like loot based shooter, and then like it turns out like the first trailers that they had of it, the game was like not even into production at all. Really, all they had like people that were working on the game were learning about what it was as we were, and they just didn't have like
That's so
anything
bad.
done, and just like getting excited about this game and then playing it and realizing it's just this kind of, it feels like this alpha of a game where nothing's really done. There's nothing to do in the game except these like really rinse and repeat quest fetch like missions, which seems like it kind of this huge fall from grace for that developer, and just go from everyone being super pumped about it to just being like crapped on over and over, and just kind of this like string of we got it later with Breakpoint, just kind of these string of like promises that just were not kept this year, which is kind of a bummer. Yeah, that's all I had.
So I had you guys basically said everything that I was gonna say about mine, which that's very common. The only one I didn't think of that Dan mentioned was I forgot about the Fallout fiasco. I think it's because it happened around Anthem, so I kind of just forgot about it. But yeah, obviously Anthem, just because that was like a complete
Yeah, I
dumpster
was really
fire from the
excited for
get-go.
that. Like I played in the alpha and the beta and stuff, but
I
just,
wasn't. And I, again, I mentioned this recently with the whole Borderlands 3. I guess I'm just not into looter shooters when it comes down to it, especially like MMO looter shooters. So which it's not a slight against the games, because Borderlands 3 I acknowledge is like a really good game. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I had so much fun with Destiny that I was hoping it would be somewhat similar to that, with maybe some more like a better, because that was one of the things that was a little weak in the Destiny games was the storyline. So I was like, oh man, if the storyline's a little better,
Yeah,
that'd be
let's
awesome.
list out all the games that didn't learn from Destiny's mistakes. Anthem, and then Destiny 2. So so what I was going to mention about the Blizzard China fiasco. So here's an example of where if they had just done nothing bad would have happened. I don't think China was going to like ban Blizzard from being in China. So I had a bit of an anecdotal thing here, and unfortunately this goes outside of the realm of video games into the realm of sports, but I think it does very much coincide with it. I think this was around the time of like the Black Lives Matter thing, and ESPN had this basketball game that was going on. It was going to be one of the commentators, and it was an Asian man, and his last name was Lee. And ESPN, for absolutely no reason, pulled this guy from commentating because his last name was Lee, like General Lee. And it was like out of absolutely nowhere. No one was going to complain about that, and they just did it. They made a mountain out of a molehill, and that's what
classic PC
that's what Blizzard did
2019
here.
culture. Yeah,
like Blizzard didn't really like. Yeah, obviously this person was like kind of representing them as being a play. Like if they had just done nothing, like if they had said nothing, it would have just gone away after a week. And instead, they decided to turn it into a big thing.
yeah, it just made it worse.
However, that is not what I thought was the biggest dumpster fire of the year. The biggest dumpster fire of the year, I have to echo Dan here with the Ghost Recon Ubisoft thing. Not as much because I had this disdain for Ghost Recon, although I do understand why Dan does. Here's the thing. I think that was the biggest dumpster fire just because of the repercussions it had. Like, all right, so you have Fallout 76, which obviously was a dumpster fire, but it really only stretched as far as Fallout 76 itself. And then there was that hilarious thing at E3 where they basically hired people to cheer for them. But all their other games seem to be kind of on track. I'm sorry, Bethesda, on track. And then, obviously there was the Blizzard China thing, but, WoW Classic was still very successful. Diablo 4 seems like it's still getting positive traction being announced. Anthem, obviously, dumpster fire. But outside of that, EA, everything else with EA is perfectly fine. Ubisoft, this Ghost Recon failing rippled their company to the point where they pushed everything back. There's stuff that may have gotten canceled because they were pushed back, quote unquote, indefinitely.
Yeah.
Not to mention, Division also saw poor sales, and that just worsened that situation.
Yeah, it was interesting because this whole story brought that kind of to light. I had assumed Division did really well.
Yeah.
I got it when it came out, and it reviewed really well. People seemed to really enjoy it. It was a blast to play, but I was kind of surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they didn't hit the mark with what their projection for sales were.
Oh,
Yeah.
Division 2?
Yeah.
And to me, it wasn't a dumpster fire in the sense where it was a huge PR disaster, because it's not like all of a sudden people are not buying Ubisoft games because of this, but it was a dumpster fire in the fact that it actually affected their company so greatly that they had to make all of those precautions. And who knows when things are coming out now? Who knows what's going to happen in 2020 with them?
Yeah, it's strange because next year timing is so important. It's important every year, but I feel like next year it's even more important because
it's the console switch.
You got to get ahead. If you have games that you've been working on for 3 years or more for these current gen, and the new consoles are coming out at the end of the year, you want to get it kind of before we hear more announcements, before E3, or at least before the new consoles are out, so that people are kind of still excited about playing your game. But I mean, if these games get pushed back again, they can't come out after the new systems, or else they're just going to look like the previous generation level of quality. So it's just going to be kind of this catch-22 where I don't know, it just seems like a tough spot to be in.
So are you in agreement if we go with that?
I still think the BlizzCon one is a bigger game of the year. I feel like I'm not going to be able to convince both of you of that, but just because
that was a huge
Yeah,
PR
but just
disaster.
like what you said, in a week it went away.
it did go
And it
away,
didn't
but
hurt them.
No, it wasn't a week. It took longer than
whatever
that.
it was,
After-
but
it was a
it's
week after
forgotten.
BlizzCon.
It didn't hurt them financially. They were able to make people forget just because of the announcements that they were able to make with Overwatch 2.
It was definitely messy. The Ubisoft one wasn't messy in the fact that people were angry or anything like that. People were angry
People were
at the
very
game.
angry because, like I said,
They did have to put a survey out to fix the game.
Yeah.
and it goes beyond just for the BlizzCon thing. It kind of goes beyond video games. It goes to human rights and just kind of
Which I do
freedom
think is
of
a big
speech,
deal.
Which
Yeah.
people that didn't play video games heard about this, which I think is kind of huge. But again,
Yet
I guess-
again, Andy, it lays in your
No,
lap.
well, hang on. We can continue to discuss this. So that's the thing, though. It's neither company had both of these things. One had to is in financial ruin almost because of this game. I think that might be pushing it, but
I would say disarray. I wouldn't
disarray.
say-
They're
yeah.
in disarray, and the other one hurt their brand, which was already hurting. Activision Blizzard has been continuously hurting for a while. They lost Destiny 2 this year. So we could have Activision be the
Yeah.
dumpster fire because they lost Bungie. They had this China disaster.
Yeah, Blizzard used to be the gold standard. Now I feel
Yeah,
like it's kind of more
people
CD
are
product
leaving
red,
the
but-
company in
yeah.
droves. So I think that's huge. And Matt, I agree with you that whole angle, the human rights angle, they got involved in politics and human rights, which is that's a big no-no.
That's terrifying. You don't.
You're
do
a
that.
game company. Just make games
Make fun
Yeah.
games. Let them
and
happen.
support your gamers.
Players.
How about
Yep.
so? Dan, any other thing you any? Are you sticking with your Ubisoft or any sway there?
I'm sticking with the Ubisoft because, like I said, I just feel like with Blizzard, they're no EA, they're no
They are
Bethesda.
smaller
They just end up nothing tarnishes them fully because
Yeah.
their games are just so well done. People forget if they struggled with some games. I figured, but I mean, World of Warcraft. You have so many devoted players to these games that the company can just it slides off them a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard anything about it. Whereas with Ubisoft, you see a lot of issues with their games, and there's no talk anymore of Watch Dogs 3 or
but-
Legion, but it's just very quiet. And like I said, that's
How many
nerve-wracking.
games got pushed back because of
I
this?
think it was 3 at least.
Well, it could be 2 or 3, yeah. Because also Beyond Good and Evil 2.
They basically said everything that we're making is being pushed back. But I guess my last thing would be this category is like biggest dumpster fire. Like, was that really a dumpster fire?
That's what I was thinking
like
just now.
Like dumpster, like getting this big backlash from kind of everyone in the gaming community, even people that don't play your specific games. Versus, okay, you've had like a really bad quarter where it's affecting, where you're gonna have to kind of go back to the drawing board on a lot of your games.
Nobody yeah, people were upset about Ghost Recon, but nobody hates Ubisoft as a company suddenly.
Yeah,
And
if
like it wasn't like
anything-
a PR disaster. It was just like a bad game, and they didn't.
Well, it's
they
not-
didn't decide to
well,
And if anything,
have
you
common
kind of,
sense
you
when
kind of,
making
you
it.
kind of respect that they're like, all right, we got to fix this, and not just like trudging along and ignoring it or pretending that it did really well. They're like, we made some mistakes, we're gonna go back to the drawing board.
But they
and-
also did
Not to
piss-
mention Anthem. EA is still working. I just not that we were like considering that for the winner, but like EA is continuing like, no, we're working on this game. We don't know why, but we're gonna keep trying here.
keep going. Little
But,
engine that
Please
could.
like us again. Please clap.
Please clap. No, but I mean, dumpster fire could mean a bunch of things. It could be PR dumpster fire, or it could be company, dumpster fire with a game that hurts them financially. So it's really, it's your, this category is depending on what type of dumpster fire you're thinking of, whether it's financial or it's PR, or it could be a little bit of both. I think that financial hurts also the PR of this company because it's going to tarnish them later. Like, people are going to think of Ubisoft, oh, they've been pretty buggy, and this is another really buggy game, so this could hurt them long term. Whereas Blizzard, they're consistently making great games, and
So both of you are set in your decisions.
Yeah,
Yes.
it seems like this is another one that's going to
We
come
are-
down to Andy.
we're locked. So it's up to
I
you,
went
Andy.
into this pretty firm with Ubisoft. Unfortunately, in the past 5 minutes, Matt has swayed me because I was thinking of that. Like, I don't really think any ill of Ubisoft, and to Matt's credit, yeah, I do credit them. Like, yeah, it did kind of put them in disarray, but yeah, Blizzard, that was like, and not to mention, I mentioned Activision Blizzard, but like, I don't think people really think of Activision when they think of Blizzard. They think of Blizzard as their own entity still, even though a guy from Activision is in control. But like, most people don't know that. That was a dumpster fire.
Yeah,
that whole
it was a
situation.
mess.
In to Dan's credit, it has gone away. No one's really thinking about it anymore. It did go away. Whereas, I feel like
I mean, no one's
Fallout
really talking about the Ubisoft stuff
Ghost
that much
Recon
either.
thing.
That
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
went
yeah.
away too.
So I
It's still
do
in effect,
agree
but-
that the Blizzard China fiasco would be the biggest dumpster fire. Sorry, Dan.
That's all right. That's 2 against 1. That's what happens.
Honorable mention to the Ubisoft thing.
And Fallout. Yep. All right, Mr. Rhodes.
Can
what's next?
can I throw an honorable mention in there? Because I think that happened this year, but it might have happened at the end of last year. I'm not good with dates. Metroid Prime 4 suddenly being shelved, and
I think that was the end of last
that
year.
the end of 2018?
Because I think it was the hope that they were going to announce it for the beginning of 2019.
Yeah, it does feel like that was a while ago.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
I'm almost surprised they haven't like said anything else about it yet.
But
like,
a
maybe
minor
one
little
recently
fire
this
for
year.
Nintendo is that they didn't do anything with Metroid Prime at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
And maybe Nintendo Direct if they
That
have
was
one
just,
at the
like,
end of the-
unfortunate.
I know. I'm talking a little. That's a little fire. Little fire. Just a little fire. All right. What is the next category?
Let's go best multiplayer experience.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Who's starting?
I'll start with this.
All right.
So I originally, hang on, I'm typing it out right now as we talk.
Of course.
For some reason, China autocorrected to machine. I don't know what my phone's doing.
I mean, they kind of do act like a machine, but
Dan, I'm gonna have to come out and ban you from this podcast for mentioning that. We're really huge in China.
damn it! I'm sorry.
Dan, could you please apologize, or we're gonna have to give you a 6 months
I'd like to give a half-hearted apology.